Hey Believers, this is SuperZOMGBBQ, and today we're going to go and revisit that Fusion Focus. You might remember this from Season 1, you might remember this from earlier on with WrestleMania tier for Fusions there, to compare all of the Fusions, new ones that have just been released. I'm going to compare those against each other, but also against the Money in the Bank cards and the event cards. See which cards, your new Fusion cards, will be the best against, whether they 4-stat, which means all stats are covered, 3-stat, which basically means that they are better than the other cards, but not by a huge amount. And then you obviously got the reverse route, which ones are not so good and which ones are a little bit like ridiculously pants. So let's get into it straight away, and we're going to talk about, first of all, one of the most popular cards that is going to be in the Fusion Chamber, one of the ones that you guys are going to get in your SummerSlam Fusions, and that is Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, obviously, Shinsuke Nakamura is such a popular superstar, the way he's coming to NXT, and the way that they've represented him here has been fantastic. He actually is the second best overall SummerSlam Fusion. We will get to which one's the best and which ones are the worst as soon as we possibly can. But very simply put, Nakamura is fantastic against other Fusions and the Money in the Bank cards. So let's just cover off a couple of things first of all. He is good against the Brock and the Jericho Money in the Bank cards. He's not great against any of the event cards, but he is good against those two cards specifically. He also is fantastic against the Big E Fusion and also the Bo Dallas Fusion. Now, you'd probably think that Bo Dallas as an overall card would be terrible, but you'll be mistaken, and we'll talk about that more later on. Nakamura's overall card is more one of those, like I mentioned previously, about Stone Cold Steve Austin in the WrestleMania tier for the Fusions. He's one of those cards that you have to stat right for it to kind of shine and kind of stand out from other cards. For example, Nakamura isn't fantastic, but if you level him up in speed a bit more, he actually starts to become a really, really good card against others. So for example, John Cena, he can easily 3-stat because Nakamura has the highest level of charisma across any of the cards in the game thus far. So let's go to losing stats. Braun Strowman and Cesaro both absolutely kick his tail. He's completely weak against those. Like I mentioned, the likes of John Cena, for example, easy way of 3-statting him is just putting more in, a little more in toughness and speed, and putting the rest in charisma. So just kind of leveling out toughness and speed instead of going all out with toughness. Moving on to the next card, Bo Dallas. Now, no one expected Bo Dallas was going to get a Fusion card, let's be honest, and if he was, it was going to be like a common or an uncommon Fusion. I mean, Bo Dallas is one of the biggest jobbers in WWE. It's nice to see he's getting a bit more attention now, but it's really confusing the way he's been used. It's like one week he's jobbing to like a tag team, the next minute he's using that big old sign he's got with the Believe in Bo, and the next week he's squashing someone. It's just kind of like, I don't know, it's crazy. But anyway, Bo Dallas is really good on one of the only Fusion cards that actually 4-stats a card, literally. Maybe this is like a way of persuading people to go for Fusions, because a lot of people are going to have gone, if they haven't gone for those event cards, they're going to have gone for the most recent Money in the Bank cards between Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho. Now, Sami Zayn and Chris Jericho, one of those is 4-statted by Bo Dallas, and that is Chris Jericho. 4-statted, every single stat is beaten by Fusion Bo Dallas. If you get that card, Bo Dallas isn't so bad. On top of that, he also beats, this is crazy, he beats Sami Zayn's Fusion in 3 stats. Sami Zayn, who regularly wins matches, who regularly has a spot in pay-per-views, and against Bo Dallas, who apparently beats him in 3 stats. It's just a... Do you watch wrestling, Cat Daddy? Jokes aside, though, losing in 3 stats, well, there's one specific mention I want to give, and that is that he does beat one specific superstar by 1 charisma, and that is actually John Cena, which is quite funny, actually. Released at the same time Cena and Bo Dallas were, and Cena loses by 1 stat point. in charisma to Bo Dallas. Anyway, he does also lose in free stats to Finn Balor. He also loses to Samoa Joe and the Nakamura fusion cards in free stats, but doesn't lose in 4 stats to anyone because he does have quite a good set of speed and charisma. Let's move on to another card. Now, this is one that I'm really kind of disheartened by. Sami Zayn's fusion card. Absolutely insane, and you're going to laugh when you see this, okay? He is the worst fusion card. We went from one of the best to the middle, literally bang on the middle, Bo Dallas, to the worst. Sami Zayn has been so poorly represented in the fusion cards. But let's look at the stats. The specific points are that Jericho's Money in the Bank card, again, is free statted by Sami Zayn. Great. But if you go to the reverse, which is Sami Zayn's card in the fusions, Sami Zayn's Money in the Bank card actually free stats his fusion card. He also loses a free stat, as I mentioned, to Bo Dallas, which I still don't get at all. And loses also to Cena and Finn Balor. Otherwise, because of his speed and charisma, he does do well against other cards. So far, there have been no speed and charisma event cards, but obviously that could change. We're up to John Cena at the moment. Now, let's just show you a quick sneak peek of Sami Zayn. If I go to here, you won't be able to see. You'll be able to see Nakamura. I'll show you Nakamura in a second. But let's just take a break here to have a look at some of the cards. If we have a look here at Sami Zayn, just look at this card. It is just... it's frustrating to look at because, and let's be honest, it's probably going to be most of the normal SummerSlam cards, but overall in King of the Rings, you just don't want this guy in your deck. It's crazy. And there's Shinsuke Nakamura. Kind of strange how it all works out. Alas, Sami Zayn, worst fusion card and one of the worst cards available to get. He's actually weaker than most of the Money in the Bank cards as well. Let's move on from there. Let's go to Big E. Big E's fusion card is one of those which actually is kind of interesting, but he is also, in my opinion, the weakest, down to purely the fact that a lot of power and toughness cards in SummerSlam tier. So let's look at what he's good against. He's good against Money in the Bank Randy Orton. He's great against this card. Beats it in free stats. He beats it in power, toughness, and charisma. But let's move on to what he loses in. He loses to Cena, Joe Fusion, Nakamura Fusion, and Cesaro, all in free stats. And that's not good viewing. It's even worse when you find out that he actually loses to Braun Strowman and Kevin Owens, who are the event cards available in 4 stats. So if you've got Sami Zayn or you've got Big E, then it's crazy. I mean, in WrestleMania tier, they had, I looked at a list just now I made of the SummerSlam fusions and the ranking of the cards. The difference in the points of the cards is just insane. I'd hate to see the difference with pros. This one, there's clear differences. There's a clear order of who's best and who's worst. So the last card we come down to is this man, Samoa Joe. Now, he was the NXT champion before he lost to Shinsuke Nakamura, but his fusion card is actually almost on par with most of the event cards. He has, by far, the best fusion card going. It's as simple as that. Let's just have a look at some of his stats. I've got some of the details up now, and he is a very good card. He's one of the only fusion cards actually 4 stats a card, and he actually 4 stats Brock Lesnar's Money in the Bank card. If you level them up in power and toughness, and not in power and speed, you actually get a card that 4 stats Brock Lesnar. It is crazy. Moving forward from there, the 3 cards that he free stats, well, he is the Fusion King. He literally, other than Nakamura, free stats every other fusion. So he free stats Sami Zayn, he free stats Big E, he also beats in free stats Bo Dallas as well, in power, toughness, and speed in pretty much all of those. Big E he beats in speed and charisma as well as power, but he's one of the best power cards available in the game as well, which is obviously great. He also beats Jericho and Orton's Money in the Bank card. But what's also interesting to note about all these fusion cards is that none of them specifically beat any of the event cards in free stats. Actually down to how you token him. For example, if I was to be quite crafty with John Cena, although John Cena is a great card, I could easily beat him with Samoa Joe in 3 stats if I leveled him up in power, toughness and speed, instead of just doing power and speed. So what my opinion would be is to go for power, toughness and speed to make sure he beat a card and just kind of ignore charisma as if it was a dead object. But he also does lose to one of the former NXT champions using an event card, of which that is Finn Balor. So Joe is by and far the best fusion card in the SummerSlam Fusions list. Let me know if you've got a personal favourite in the comments section below. And that's it. Literally the SummerSlam Fusions, there's not a huge amount of them, but the cards are very interesting the way they're done them this time round, especially with the NXT champion theme, but also the fact that the cards have a clear order as to who's best and who's worst. There's even a significant gap between Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura, who are first and second. Just to clarify a point there, there's no specific cards other than Nakamura that have the best stats, and that's because Nakamura and Bo Dallas both have the best overall charisma than any other card in the game. Other than that, the cards are pretty much second, third best in certain stats. But that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you guys get the best fusions you're looking for, and let me know if you've got any personal favourites, including the images. I love the Joe SummerSlam card on the Joe Fusion card. That just looks insane. I'm actually going to show you guys now what it looks like. But if you can remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel, that'd be amazing. You could also chuck a glance at the description below. You'd also be able to find some details about Discord, Instagram, Twitch and Twitter, those 4 things that you could end up following and actually see me streaming live, or go on Twitter. Alternatively, just check out my Instagram posts and stuff like that, because I post stuff on there every so often. Thank you so much for watching, and one last thing to leave you with, and that is to sleep!